And tonight is going to be a bumper ride. We're looking at Nigeria. So many things happening in Nigeria. The president is out of the country, visiting Germany, France, and one other country for world security. And at home in Nigeria, there's Boko Haram taking control of northern Nigeria in Borno State, attacked the military air base, incapacitated 3 military aircraft and 2 helicopters. Well, the Nigerian army is saying that is not a big deal. We've got it under control. But tonight we're looking at something different. We're talking about the atrocious proposal by the Nigerian National Assembly. The lawmakers have got here a 16-page bill, you know, a proposal that looks good. It's supposed to be an anti-money laundering bill. But if you take a closer look at this bill, it's recommending 7 years for anyone who criticizes the Nigerian government on social media. Specifically, what they are saying is, if you use Twitter, Facebook, Bebo, or any part of the social media to incite the Nigerian people against the Nigerian government, then you are in deep trouble. You're going to spend 7 years in jail. Tonight, I've got with me, live from Poland, I've got Rosonwo Babatunde. Rosonwo Babatunde is a PhD candidate in Poland, and he makes a very good use of the social media to talk about politics, about things that are happening in Nigeria. And we've got in Coventry, Tomi Oladepo. Tomi Oladepo is also a PhD candidate in Coventry University. And in the studio, I've got with me one British Nigerian who's traveled all over the world, and she just recently came back from China, a society where it's all about banning the social media as it is. And in the studio with me, I've got Kafi Karim. So let's kick start. Rosonwo, are you with me? Hello, do we have Rosonwo on the line?
Hello, Kayode.
Yeah, Rosonwo, I'm sure you've heard about that proposal to ban people from using the social media as a tool to attack the Nigerian government. Attack in quote, because if you criticize the government, you use Twitter, you're in trouble. You've read the bill. Can you please explain what the bill is all about to us?
Okay. First of all, the bill is not supposed to be about social critics or social media. It's actually supposed to be about online fraud, the use of the internet for certain purposes and other things. And this bill, I think the major problem is that senators don't read through these bills. Somebody's been able to smuggle a clause that could be interpreted in different ways, and that's where the bone of contention is. So this section, what exactly does it portend for the future? And that's just what the debate is about. So the senators will tell us they're making a law on online fraud or e-fraud, as the case may be. But the question is, what does this section interpret to? And also, Nigeria is just embracing social media and internet and the new modern age. How are we adapting to this? These are the questions. Is the Senate just going to run us over, or we're just going to... There's quite a lot of questions to ask us. I don't think the senators have a clear understanding of what exactly they are up to. That's it from me.
So, Rosonwo, I'll stop you there. Let me bring in Tomi. Tomi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, Tomi, I want to read this bill to you. It says, anyone who intentionally propagates false information that could threaten the security of the country or that is capable of inciting the general public against the government through electronic message shall be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction shall be sentenced to 7 years imprisonment or 5 million naira fine, or both. That is one bogus recommendation. How do you define who is inciting people against the government? I mean, I know for sure that Jonathan government is one of the most corrupt presidency we've had in the history of the country. So if I'm telling the world now that Jonathan is running a corrupt system, I'll be guilty, and I'll have to go to jail for 7 years. What do you think?
Okay, for starters, I feel laws are good. Laws are not necessarily bad. Laws are enacted to protect the citizens, and they're for common good and not to harm the citizens.
Yeah.
But then when you have laws in a democracy that appear to be encroaching on human rights, such as freedom of speech and freedom of engagement, then it becomes a bit difficult not to be apprehensive about what exactly, the powers that be might be up to. But like you said, when I looked through that subsection, certain things jumped out at me, and it raised a lot of questions for me. The first question being, how can the federal government determine what is intentional or not? How would you know I'm intentionally spreading false information?
Yeah.
So if a blogger posts a story and I share it to my networks, I didn't intentionally spread false information. You know what I mean. So how do we determine what is intentional or not? To what extent is false? Is a mere denial by a government official of a blogger's story false? Or, what exactly is false? I mean, these are really ambiguous terms that we need to really criticize. Another question that jumped out at me again is, where do we draw the line between what is critical of the government and what is insightful? Because we need to understand that in a democracy, it is important to be critical of the government because we need the government to be better. Even in established democracies like the UK, people are ever keeping, their lawmakers on their toes.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard of the woman in Ghana whose conversation was recorded, and she had to lose her position.
Yeah, the minister, the junior minister.
Exactly. So, if she denied that story, would that be false? And would the person who leaked the tape, be... So, I mean, it just raises so many questions, and this leaves the law highly susceptible to abuse.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bill that needs to be further debated before it's passed.
Okay, Tommy, I would like to bring in Tommy and Rosanwo. I would like to bring in Kafi here. Kafi, you're welcome to the studio. You just came back from China, and you're a blogger. You are also into politics in the UK. You're going to be your Labour candidate in the coming election in your borough. What were your experience in China? You make use of social media, but you've been to China, and China is known as a country that is quite suspicious about the use of social media. Can you tell our viewers what your experience were when you went to China?
Well, Kaide, for me in China, it was quite a big experience actually, because I've never experienced anything where I'm not allowed to voice my opinion. And I had heard that in China, for example, Facebook is banned, Twitter is banned, YouTube is banned, and I even had a lot of trouble writing my blog whilst I was there because I couldn't get onto the blogging site. So you had to use these firewalls, if you like, you had to jump the wall. And it was quite funny actually, because like the Wall of China, it was actually called Getting Over the Great Wall, So it was very, very interesting in the fact that I couldn't express myself freely. I couldn't say what I wanted to say when I wanted to say it. So for me, it was something that really opened my eyes actually to say that the freedom that we have in the UK, I didn't have that in China. And it was very difficult actually. But then I later found that in China, they actually had their own versions of social media that the government actually monitored. So the government actually said, okay, you can use these versions of social media, but because we can't monitor the Western versions, you can't use that. So I would type in Facebook.com into my internet, and it would say page not found, non-existent. So it's just so sad to see that Nigeria is trying to head in that direction.
So how did you feel when you were making news, when you couldn't get access to the social media platform? How did you feel?
Initially, I was just shocked. My mouth dropped. I was just staring at the screen, saying, "What? Are you serious? What do you mean Facebook.com doesn't exist?" But yes, and I typed it in again and again and again, and it still didn't work. And I felt just so unable to do anything. I felt like I had such a loss of power. I couldn't, express myself.
Yeah. Okay, I'll bring in Rosanwo, and we have in the studio Kafi Karim, and from Poland we have Rosanwo Babatunde, and from Coventry we have Temi Oladepo. Now, Rosanwo, you've had the experience of China, and we also know that in Nigeria, the government they brought in some Israelis to monitor people's social media conversation. They paid millions of dollars to an Israeli company. Is this born out of frustration about the relevance of the younger generations in influencing public discourse in the country?
Nigeria is just trying to do what other countries have done.
Okay.
So Kasi just said she was in China and she couldn't access the social media. Nigeria is trying to do it the American way, NSA way. Spy on your citizens, know what your citizens are saying, what they're planning. My concern is I cannot trust the Nigerian government with data. For example, listening to what the opposition is saying, and we don't have institutions that can protect privacy. So at one point, we have to really accept the fact that we have terrorism and elements of trouble in our system. But we need to have a debate around how far the government has to go with these tools, these laws and these tools. What are the things guiding us? If you would know, Gbenga Sheson of TIN is doing quite a lot of work around this, and they've done a couple of SOIs requesting that the government makes the process more open. But you know the way everybody eyes under the word national security. And if you look at that law we're referring, the bill we're referring to, there's also the clause, national security. What's national security?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bogus word. It has a big budget, which is not accounted for every year, but that's the problem. I think we should not get too driven away by the idea of this bill in Nigeria, because it's gone through the first reading and the second reading, and it's going back to the committee level. Yeah. And at the committee level, Nigerians can actually put in their memoranda, complain, and get this expunged. So I think it's not gotten to the stage. The issue is how active citizens are in identifying these clauses before they eventually become law.
Okay, Rosanwo, without wanting to interrupt you, I would like to ask you this question. Is it a surprise that the bill, the co-sponsor of the bill is coming from the opposition party, the APC, and we're joining forces with a PDP senator from Ekiti State to sponsor this, what I would call obnoxious clause in a bill that ordinarily would simply have passed as a very wonderful bill to stop fraud in the country?
Without taking brief for the political party, I'd like to say that I don't think the political party has the same position as the senator to start with. Unless APC comes out to say, oh, we endorse this, we would wait for that. So one of our problems with the senators generally is our senators are not very efficient. So the senators come out this morning to say he did not see that clause and blah, 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 blah. So it means what? Our parliamentarians are just collecting these big, fat wage in Abuja, sitting on their hands. They don't want to tell us how much they earn. Yeah. They don't read through the deals they're passing. And to make it worse, in the National Assembly, you don't log votes. So we don't know who voted for who. It's always the nays or the hays have it, which is fraud. Even that we're calling out Senator Gbenga Kaka now. If he was sitting on the floor of the House and he had said A or nay, he would deny what his position was based on the reaction of the society.
Okay.
So the real issue is not about whether it was APC senators that are sponsoring it. The question is, even the PDP senators allowed it to go through the first hearing and the second hearing. All the senators are the same.
Okay, Rosanwo, let me bring in Tommy here. Tommy, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Tommy, I'd like to ask you this. You see, social media has done quite a number of positive things in the country. I mean, we see fundraising for quite a number of people in need. The use of social media exposed bribes in the National Assembly. I mean, Nigerian youth have been able to network, get information from other parts of the world. But there should also be some form of regulation because, well, people accuse me as a person of slandering public office holders on social media. Is it not right that we need a bill like this to stop people from outstepping their freedom?
That's a very good question, and it's a question that has been plaguing me myself in my research at Warwick University actually for a while now. And so it's not black and white, and it's not left and right. It's not. The answer is not split along two lines. It's something that needs to be managed. It's very sensitive. Okay, so when you say regulation, how far do you regulate? For democracies to thrive, you need people to discuss. You need people to have conversations. Yeah. But what kind of conversations are they having? Do we have conversations with hate speech in them? In Nigerian conversations online, amongst citizens. I see a lot of hate speech going on.
Yeah.
I see conversations tainted with religious sentiment.
Yeah.
Conversations that could easily become insightful, actually,
Okay.
touching on religion, just things that that don't work for other people.
Yeah.
You're not tolerant of other people's views, and these are necessary ingredients for a good democracy.
Okay.
But I would suggest
Yeah.
self-regulation rather
than government.
legislative.
Yeah, but the surprising thing to me is that, well, these conversations about religion, we don't have any of this in this bill. What can we learn from how social media is being used in the UK?
I think it's being used in an amazing way. I think it's opened the paths for so many different things. I mean, for example, even celebrities, for example, who perhaps you would never have had any way of contacting before or, speaking to, you can send them a tweet and, they may reply, they may say, hi, how are you doing? And for a lot of people, that is bringing such a disparity back together. But politically, it's something that is enabling us to connect with a huge, vast amount of people on a daily basis. For example, I'm running for the Labour Party and I'm a member of the Labour Party, and we have this hashtag called Labour Doorstep. So every time we go out canvassing, we can hashtag saying, okay, I've been out on the hashtag Labour Doorstep. And it shows all the work that is going on across the country, trying to put Labour values and share those values with the rest of the country. So for me, it's a thing that it's unnegotiable, really. I mean, obviously, as you've said, we've had these incidents where, people have perhaps overstepped the line and have gone to derogatory remarks personally to a person or to a certain group of people. But, for example, this bill is not even attempting to combat that. It's got nothing to do with that at all. So it's about the government. So it's about saying, oh, if you say anything bad about us, you're going to be in jail for 7 years. That doesn't make any sense, because if we're trying to say, okay, with freedom comes also responsibility, yes, but for a government to be effective democracy, you need to hear the views of people, and that's exactly what Twitter does. Twitter enables us to hear views from all over the country, all over loads of different types of people who perhaps would not have had any other way to express themselves.
What do you think will be the reaction of the British public if a bill like this is sponsored in the House of Parliament by people?
The uproar would be unbelievable. The uproar would be absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I listen to the radio quite a lot, and when you listen to the radio, people that do say what people would quote unquote say slanderous things about the government. But you have to be held to account for your actions. I mean, it is a democracy that we live in, and I think if a bill like that came in, I can't even imagine it. That's how that's how far-fetched it seems to me. But again, I would never have imagined it in Nigeria either. So if it came into play here, I just think there would be an uproar, and people would be protesting. It wouldn't.
Now, okay, you've said that. Rosonwo, Kafi just mentioned that if that should happen in the UK, there will be a massive uproar in the country. What is the reaction of the Nigerian people to this clause, especially on social media?
All right, let's be clear about this. Nigeria is a developing country. Nigeria is not a full democracy. It's an hybrid of a democracy. So we still have to grow along with making laws and etc. One thing is clear: the same constitution, which could be flawed in many ways, guarantees the speech of the right of every citizen to free speech, free association, expression of your mind. So, for example, if you look back at the last protest Occupy Nigeria, where people actually had to use the social media to aid it to come out, you will be held for incitement. The question is this: who actually uses the social media in Nigeria? It's a small percentage, and it has to do with the early and certain class in Nigeria. So there's really no outcry. You're not going to get that real outcry. The market women does not use social media. Etc. So the onus is on young people and those who have access to it, who use it, who understand the idea of this draconian law to start to it. I must say this: there's been an outcry on the social media immediately it came out, and people are like, hell no, we are not accepting this. And I can say this, that the senator who actually sponsored the bill responded within 24 hours to say, hey, hold on, I'm sorry, I did not see that clause. I would make sure I make amends at the committee level. So there's been some impact. There's been reasonable level of impact from the social media, but from the general populace, the market women and whatever, the day-to-day people don't even have an idea. This bill even split past a lot of us.
Yeah.
It was until some media drew our attention to like, oh my God, this is going on. So,
okay, Rosanwo, I would like to read the reaction of a senator who is a co-sponsor of the bill, Senator Kaka, and he says, any unacceptable clause or clauses in the proposed bill shall be expunged, rewarded, or replaced to make the bill acceptable to the generality of Nigerians. More comments and suggestions from all stakeholders would be welcome. If eventually the bill is passed, I want to assure Nigerians that the offensive clause is going to be removed. Now, I want to bring in Tommy here. Tommy, is it not ridiculous that you put in such a ridiculous clause into a bill and you wait for Nigerians to have an outcry and tell us, thanks for helping me point out the ridiculous clause I put into a bill? Do you think Senator Kaka and the Senate is just reacting to the public outcry and wants to save face? That this clause shouldn't have been on the bill in the first place? I think we've lost Tommy there. Kafi, I've just read a clause there, and this is by one of the senators saying, "Look, I know," and that's as a result of the outcry. Yeah. I accept the fact that this is not something good, and we will reward it. We're going to rework on the bill and make it more acceptable to the people. Now, in the UK, there should be laws. The normal court should be able to handle libel, seditious allegations, and what have you. When you make statements against the government in this country, what do you expect from the government in terms of reaction? Will you have a clampdown as we are experiencing in Nigeria?
Nothing like this at all. I mean, as I said previously, it happens quite a lot, whether it be through radio, through TV, I mean, even through comedy shows, for example, that make little snide comments all the time. But nothing like this would even be dreamt of happening, because we realize that we do live in a free society. Yeah. We do realize that we live in a place where we can express our views, we can express our opinions. Yeah. So you wouldn't expect to be threatened with jail because you're saying, oh, I don't like what the government are doing. In fact, a lot of the time it's happened that people have expressed their dislike with it, and then the law has actually been shaped because of that. And for this to have been in the clause and say, oh, sorry, we didn't see that clause, let's just quickly erase it. What's that about? I mean, was it a test on the Nigerian public to see whether they would actually read the bill? I think it's ridiculous. I think it's something that should not have been there in the first place, and it's something that, you know, nobody should be accepting. So for them to say that we didn't see it in the I think that's ridiculous, really. Okay.
We're going to let Tommy go so that we can take the phone calls, but I want to bring in Rosanwo there from Poland. Rosanwo, there are also very interesting parts of this bill that I think is something that is long overdue. There's talking about you go to jail if you're involved in 419 internet fraud. There are positives to this bill, don't you think so?
I think the bill is long overdue. So the problem is that bill was a 2008 idea, and the senators need to upgrade that bill. For example, the bill talks about cyber fraud in a computer in a cyber cafe. A lot of Nigerians no longer use cyber cafes. Why isn't that a bill covering if you commit a fraud online via any tool? You know, so are we going to now make a law for cyber cafe? Then in 2020 we now have to make another law for mobile phones and private computers. I mean, it shows that the senators have not done their homework properly. And but then I understand the intent of the bill. The problem is the manipulation and the attempt not to do a rigorous work. So I don't even think the civil society has any contribution to this bill yet. So we'll rather wait for the committee level where the civil society and experts in this area can make contributions. But that, as it may be, a lofty idea, but with a lot of loopholes. And it's also democracy. This is why we're in a democracy. I mean, this is not General Sani Abacha or the military dictator who says this is it and that is it. There's a state for citizens to then complain about these laws and constitution. So I hope we are not just going to complain about the process, complain about the bill, but when it gets to the committee level and there's public hearing, Nigerians actually send in their complaints and make sure that the representatives at the National Assembly do the right thing.
Okay, Rosanwo, one of the things I find interesting is that, look, I've got before me here, this is the law, the Nigerian law on defamation and sedition, and it says Section 391 of the Nigerian Penal Code and Articles 512 and 214 of the Criminal Code, you know, deals with almost everything they are bringing out in this so-called new bill. So why do we need to duplicate these if we already have laws in place?
Okay, Paddy, this is what I would cite as an example. Those laws, I mean, majority of the Nigerian Criminal Code is long overdue. We need to revisit most of them and rewrite our laws. Some of those laws have loopholes whereby people still get away with some petty crimes. So the one you're reading may not necessarily cover the idea of doing things online, computers and stuff. For example, hacking. If you hack into a computer in Nigeria now, what are the laws? So there's need to upgrade the law. Yeah. It's just that the senators are not doing a thorough job. They just want to do a shady thing. But there's no need to rush this kind of thing. They need to understand the environment, what's going on. And of course, there's got to be laws about how you use the internet if you use it for criminal purposes.
Yeah.
So that's the real issue. And we're not trying to get away with people being charged to court and the law says, oh, there's no provision or section of law that actually covers what this person is doing. I'll give you this example. If somebody commits murder, it may be very difficult to prove that the person actually committed murder. But it's possible for you to prove in court, or easier to prove that the person attempted to commit murder. So I think what the law is trying to do is to cover all those loopholes and then, you know, have a very robust society where we have law and order. Okay. The problem is our senators are lazy. Lazy. They are lazy.
Okay. Okay. Rosanwo, I think we've got Tommy back. Tommy, are you back with us? Is Tommy still there? Okay, I think we've lost Tommy again. Well, Rosanwo made a point there. You see, there are obsolete laws in Nigeria, and we need to update the laws, and that's why we're having this new bill to replace the old laws. But even this new bill is talking about cyber cafes, and cyber cafes have literally disappeared in Nigeria with the advent of mobile phone technology and internet on your phone. Sometimes when you hear news about Nigeria, especially negative news such as this, how do you feel as a British-born Nigerian person?
It just really saddens me, to be honest. I feel, you know, I was born in London, born and raised in London, but I still feel such an affinity to Nigeria. Like when I go back, I love it, and I absolutely love it. And it's quite sad, really, because, you know, some of my family would be like, oh, Oyinbo, that I'm not a true Nigerian. Yeah. But I love Nigeria. My heart is just so in love with Nigeria, and I think, obviously, we talk about potential all the time, but Nigeria is an amazing place, and it can go to wonderful heights. Yeah. And for me, when I hear these things, I just think, you know, it's so sad. Are we going backwards, you know? And even in China, I mean, when I got back from China, I was talking to my mum about the trains there. And then she was telling me, oh, there was a train between Maduguri and somewhere else, but now it's not there anymore. And it just saddened me. It's like, are we going backwards in time? Is Nigeria going backwards instead of going forward? And I think when I hear things like this, it again reinforces that sense of going backwards rather than moving with the times and going forward. Because as I say, in China, that has been the law. I mean, it was after the Urukku riots that law was implemented, but when I spoke to my friends in China, they just accepted that that's the way China is. So are we going to let that happen to Nigeria to say, yep, that's just the way the law is?
Okay, are we going to let that happen in Nigeria? Are we going forward or we're going backward? We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back in a minute. Don't go away. It's Politics with KO. My producer, Tony, wants us to take phone calls. So we'll take a short break so that we can restore the lines for your phone calls to come into the studio. Stay with us.
My name is Elders Inechejila. I play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Sporting Club de Braga in Portugal. Keep watching Ben TV.
Since its launch in 2003, Ben Television has steadily won the hearts and minds of the viewing public. Our fresh mix of cultural entertainment and information programming has filled a void in the television industry at a rapidly growing pace.
A live phone-in program with Kade Ogodamisi.
This is Ben Television live from London.
People of the world, and that's one good thing we want.
Yeah.
And I hope they can get Jailer Foundation to be involved.
Well, I just hope that I tell you something, Don. From I was a child, I've been hearing about bad things happening in Haiti.
Our programs are entertaining.
Man, it's your boy Lloyd Banks. It's A to the Z Exhibit.
It's the Kid 50 Cent.
Keep watching the Big Bang Show.
My name is Dayadine, but my friends and fans do call me D1. I keep it locked because I watch Ben Television.
Our programs are information-filled.
The only people that will change Africa ultimately are Africans.
I think it signifies how important Nigeria is becoming in the global economy. We have a very strong relationship between the United States and Nigeria.
And safe for family viewing.
Well, let's say for once, I totally miscalculated. And before I knew it, they were both coming down on themselves like a surging volcano, man. Left, right, boom, boom, boom.
It's Politics with KO. It's a program sponsored by Ben TV. I mean, it's a platform for Nigerians in diaspora to just discuss what's happening back home. Not just that, Ben TV is actually going to be sponsoring a centenary program, and the information will be scrolling on your TV screen, and it's something we encourage you to support and join in. Nigeria is going to be 100 years, even though some of us think Nigeria has not started as a country, but Ben TV will be putting that event in place for Nigerians. But today and tonight we're talking about the obnoxious law, sort of recommending 7 years for anyone who criticizes the Nigerian government using social media. And we want you to call in. The phone numbers are right there on the screen. We still have Kafi in the studio. We had Rosanwo Babatunde from Poland, and we also had Tommy from Coventry. And I would want to go straight to Kafi now. I really want to hear more about your China experience. And I'm actually, despite the fact that there's this ban on social media in China, and people don't seem to get access to information, how do people get information across?
Well, in China, whilst they've basically banned all forms of Western social media, they actually have their own forms of social media that is Chinese, that the government can actually monitor. So, for example, their version of Twitter is called Weibo. So on there is a platform where you can exchange ideas, you can exchange things, but obviously as long as it's not too, leaning badly towards the government. You can express yourself in that sense, but obviously it's under the government's terms and conditions. And also they have their own Facebook called Renren. And so there are these platforms there to be able to communicate with other people.
So it's being organized by the Chinese government for the Chinese people, so that you don't have Western cultures invading the Chinese culture. I've got a caller on the line. Caller, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Kayode. This is Chooks calling from London.
Chooks, you're welcome to Politics with KO. Your first caller. Please make your contribution.
Thank you. First of all, I need to ask you to stay ahead, because in one day you might go to Nigeria and they will blow it off. Secondly, hello?
Hello, yeah.
Secondly, this is to tell you that the Nigerian political class doesn't have the interest of the poor man in their hands. Because if this bill can be able to take 2 or 3 days to pass, to get to the third, then why can't they make a bill that if any person that loots or have more than 5 million in his account should go to at least 7 months imprisonment? Or any person that is being like pension scam in Nigeria, is the process is taking up to 300 years. Everything, both APC and PDP, all are the same. If this bill can only take 3 days to pass, pension scam is there.
Absolutely.
ASU strike is there. NEPA is there.
during Obasanjo's refinery, even 2.5 billion being found by one of the Buhari's aides. I was born then in 1983. You see there, they have not found, but this bill, this is to tell you that all of them, both APC and PDP, they are the same. All of them are the same.
Okay, Chooks, just hold on. Let me have another caller. Just hold on the line. I want to hear what Adekoya, has got to say about your point of view. Adekoya, you're welcome to Ben TV.
Yeah, Kade, thank you.
Where are you calling from, please?
My name is Adekoya Joe Adegbeson. I'm calling from Milton Keynes.
Okay, go ahead, Adekoya.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, the thing about it is, I don't know why Nigerians are worrying, why we are bothered about this. The particular clause that people are having issues with is the one that says anyone who intentionally propagates false information.
Yeah.
You know? So if you are not online to propagate false information, why are we losing sleep over it? You know, it is good for this kind of law. I think it should actually remain in the proposal because, you know, online publishers like Sahara Reporters, this will make them think twice before coming up with all these their sensational stories.
Okay, let me hear what Chooks have got to say on what you've just mentioned now. Chooks, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Chooks is saying that this bill will stop Sahara Reporters in New York from publishing information about the Nigerian government, or probably stop me in London from going on Twitter to say that President Jonathan's Bola art is filled with corruption.
Thank you. See, we are no longer in 1970s or 1965 when Nigeria doesn't have electricity. Things have changed. Even those senators there, they know that they find it too hard to control their phone. It is very difficult for them because they know that the phone they are using is being operated by another person for them. So they are just trying to see a way to do, because they know they are not pure. Nobody elected them. Look at what they are saying. You heard them, they said for them not to decide to be APC, they have to give them automatic tickets.
Okay, Chooks, I will let you go. Before Adekoya, I want to ask you, how will a law in Nigeria stop, say, Sahara Reporters from publishing information about Nigeria?
What it says, I'm reading this actually. I took this document from your Facebook wall.
Yeah.
I took it from your Facebook wall, and I'm reading it back to you. It says, anyone who intentionally propagates false information. We're not saying anybody who goes online and tells the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, look, for instance, last week was it? They said DAJ brought Asari Dokubo by private jet from Benin Republic to Abuja. Was that true? Could they confirm it? It was different from the Odua story that we know that was true. You know,
but is it not a fact that media houses will never always get it right, and that there are laws in place? If it's a lie, just go and sue for sedition or defamation of character.
Yeah, that's why it says anybody looking to propagate false information, it now makes us do our job right. Once you are not sure of your information,
don't publish.
Go research over it again, check your contact, and be sure.
Sure, before publishing. Okay, Adekoya, thanks for calling, and I respect that opinion. Hold on, Ken. I'll go a new caller, but I want... how would you react to those two differing opinions, you know? One says, yeah, if you're not sure of it, don't publish. If you publish, you go to jail for 7 years. He's got no problem with it.
Yeah, and that was quite an interesting view, actually. And it was quite interesting for me to hear that view. I thought it was a bit taken aback by it, because ultimately, how will you ever know if everything is 100% true?
It's true, yeah.
That would stop you from posting probably anything. Even the news that we receive in the media, you know, how would you say, okay, this is 100% true, I know this to be a fact, if you're not in the government with them? And I mean, when he was saying regarding the government saying something that is false, that you may say something that is on your terms true, but then the government say, no, I'm not doing that, because they don't want to appear to be scandalous.
Yeah, and since they have control over the information anyway, how would you know? I would like to bring in Ken. Ken, good evening. Good evening, Ken.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, Ken, what have you got to say, and where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm calling from London.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I want to say is this, right? Yeah, okay, what I want to say is this. Yeah, we are all Nigeria,
Okay.
right? Yeah, we know that Nigeria government is not perfect. They are corrupt as well. But, yeah, our best.
Okay, I'm not sure we're getting you well, Ken. I want to bring in Carlos. Carlos, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Go ahead. Carlos, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
Okay, let's have your view, please.
I've been listening to the conversation. I are talking about the bill. What I see is that a lot of things have happened in Nigeria. And if I get you correctly, I didn't get much about the bill. But what you said something about security, about is it country security, or I don't understand. But we should look at it critically that every country must be protected.
Okay.
Not everything somebody can just wake up and talk. That is
Okay.
one. Secondly, we know that these politicians don't have the interest of masses. We know. But the issue is we have to analyze this law in a way that it's not going to be ambiguous. Because the way you read it makes it ambiguous. Despite that, we know the kind of politicians we
But
have.
is it not because, as a matter of fact, that it is ambiguous? I mean, what is clear about someone saying anything that could threaten the security of the country or that is capable of inciting the general public? How do you determine what incites the general public? If I'm saying President Jonathan is consciously not stopping Boko Haram crisis in the northern part of Nigeria because he wants the northerners to lose to decrease the population against 2015. What is insightful about that? It's an
I
opinion.
understand what you mean, but remember that is arms of government. The judiciary is there to interpret this law the way we ordinary people who are not lawyers we understand it. And when you talk about security of a nation, it involves a lot of things.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? It's not only about freedom of speech. It's not that you cannot criticize the government. That is not what he's saying there.
Okay.
He's saying that you can criticize the government, but anything that, even this country, if you go to the law in this country, if you're talking about public security or country security, there is a baggage on that. There's a restriction on that.
Okay.
You don't just wake up and say anything that you want to say or put anything you want to put in Twitter for British government. You don't do that.
Okay, okay. Before we go on, before you go on, we've got a breaking news. I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but we've got a breaking news that is coming in from South Africa. This is Politics with KO. But before we get the full details of the news, I think we're having information that the icon of Africa, Nelson Mandela, passed away. That's the news we're getting directly from South Africa now, that Nelson Mandela is dead. Nelson Mandela is one exemplary African who liberated his people, and not just that, as soon as he liberated the majority black from white minority rule, he definitely went on to reconcile the people of South Africa. May his soul rest in peace, and I'm sure Africa is mourning will be mourning the passing of a great man. Nelson Mandela is dead. That is the news we're getting straight from South Africa. We've got, but today we are discussing the issue of the freedom of the press. But we just want to reemphasize that the news is one news that is definitely, we still need to get a direct confirmation. But the information we're getting is that Nelson Mandela might have probably passed away. So. Let's just go ahead with this. Bode, welcome to Politics with KO.
Oh, thank you. My take on this bill, or maybe act of the National Assembly, is this. Well, I do accept with one of the earlier callers who said it will help to sanction false information.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, my own opinion is this. The government itself, the Nigerian government itself, are they prepared to abide by this regulation in filtering information to the public? And my criticism on this becomes much more acute when you look at the petroleum subsidy crisis, the government itself gave the public different variations of information relating to the figures that were, or rather the amount of oil subsidy missing. Right? We never had an accurate position.
Absolutely. So they gave us quite a number of false information, and I wonder if they are going to be, if this bill is going to affect them. You know, because we've got very few, we've got few times, we've got less than 5 minutes to go. I quickly want to bring in Folu. Folu, good evening.
Thank you.
Folu, just a quick one. What have you got to say to this?
Just straight to the point. Just straight to the point. All I feel that they just got misplaced of priorities, and basically they need to go sit down. That's the senators, the politicians, the members of the House of Representatives. They need to sit down and prioritize what they need to take place in terms of the laws they come up with. I don't think this is what they need to do right now, because when you talk about security, it's lagging. You talk about corruption, it's lagging. You talk about basic amenities, lagging. So they should go back, prioritize, do what they need to do, and, give the Nigerian citizens something that they feel, that we feel is right for us, you know.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Folu, thank you very much. We want to remind our viewers again that Nelson Mandela passed away. May he so rest in perfect peace. We also want to tell you that Ben TV Centenary sponsored project is going on. You'll get information on your screen. Apparently, Kafida is a sad news from South Africa. Nelson Mandela, even though we knew it's just a matter of time. But how would you describe Mandela?
Oh, an incredible man. I mean, I'm not sure if it was detectable when I gasped when I, saw the news, because it's such an inspiration. Yeah. He was such an inspiration. What he's done for his country, is incredible. And I was actually reading about Nelson Mandela, and I love to look at the visionary people of our times, and I love reading autobiographies and biographies about these people, because I just think there's so much we can learn from their lives. And Nelson Mandela was just someone who just stood for so much, and he did not waver. I was thinking, if I was in prison for that many years, how many times would I have just said, okay, you know what, I'm out, I want to get out, let me out, forget what I'm standing for. But the fact that he stood by what he believed, I think that shows so much the integrity of such a man. I think it's such sad news, but...
well, thank you, Kathy, for coming to the program.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ben TV, Alistair Shoyode, Victor. It's good night. We'll see you next Thursday.